If you're watching this, I'm hoping you're at least curious about what I think is the easiest way to learn how to play D&D. And if that's your goal, I'm going to give you my answer right from the start. It's the D&D starter set. But I'll explain more and then I'll be giving one away. Well, actually, this exact one. I mean, you have to win it, but then I'll ship it to you. Eh? Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. If you're new to the channel, my name's Brian, and we release new videos weekly, so please consider subscribing and turning on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of the content. Maybe you know someone who plays D&D and won't stop talking about how fun it is. Or maybe you've recently just heard all the buzz around the game and you want to give it a shot yourself. And if you're like most of us who want to find out more about something, maybe you Googled something like how to play Dungeons and Dragons. But then you were kind of overwhelmed with all the results that showed up? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Before I jump in, let me give you the rundown on what I'm going to cover in today's video. I've included timestamps for all these topics, so if you need to jump to something, go for it. First, I'm going to tell you why I think this video is needed right now. Then I'm going to start answering the question in the video title and tell you what the D&D starter set is and explain why it's the easiest way to learn how to play D&D. In my humble opinion. I'll also give you a few tips on how to be the Dungeon Master for the Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure included in the starter set. And that includes running your own Session 0 for the group. And if you're not sure what Session 0 is, don't worry, I'll explain that too. Then I'll share my plans for creating some additional resources for your gaming group. And finally, I'll explain how you can enter to win this D&D starter set that I picked up specifically for the Geek Philosophy viewers. Alright. Let's get rolling. Well, I'm pretty excited about the growing popularity of this hobby. But when I was recently making the Why We Love Geeky Wisdom video, it got me thinking about something. All of the new stuff that has come out has been really great for the game, and Netflix's Stranger Things show has introduced D&D to the masses. And not only is it a great show, but it incorporates D&D into the storyline, both overtly and sort of in a meta way. And the popularity of actual play shows like Critical Role or Dimension 20 have also had an exponential impact on the popularity of the game. And there are a bunch of YouTube channels now, just like this one, or much bigger than this one, with their own perspective and unique advice about the game. And all of that is great, but there are a couple drawbacks. As I see it, two of them actually. One is information overload. With so much stuff out there now, how does a brand new person kind of sift through all of it to get started? Especially someone who doesn't have a baseline level of experience with gaming in general. The other thing is about playstyle. When D&D was originally released, the only way that you knew how to play was to play with other people that already knew, or to figure it out yourself. You couldn't go online and watch people play the game, and while I think it's beneficial to do that today, if you've only seen highly produced D&D played by actors and comedians or other celebrities, well, you're only getting that one take on it. Now, what they're doing is real D&D. Let me be clear on that. I know sometimes people downplay it, but it's really D&D. They're just playing in a way that most people can't duplicate. And that's okay. But there's something great about figuring it out for yourself, finding your own style that can evolve over time. Then your experience of figuring out D&D builds an even bigger appreciation for shows like Stranger Things or actual play campaigns like Critical Role. You can get more out of those things. And it's much easier to pick up tips from YouTube channels once you know what you're talking about because you've been playing. You're kind of speaking the same language now. You didn't know what you didn't know when you started, if that makes sense. Quick side note. You may be able to win this starter set, but there is no way to win a Dungeons & Dragons game. The only way to win really is to have fun. And yeah, there are adventurers that have a goal, and reaching that goal can be awesome, but sometimes you don't reach the goal and it's still awesome. It's collaborative storytelling, which means that characters can progress from one campaign to another, and that can stretch out over a long time. You could create a character that ends up lasting for years to come, and that means D&D or tabletop role-playing in general can be an amazing family game. It's hard to argue against spending more time together at a table as family, especially when you're having fun starting out on a grand adventure. Even though the D&D starter set was released back in July of 2014, man, almost 8 years ago at the time of this video, I still think it's the best way to get into the hobby. I reserve the right to change my opinion if anything better comes out after this. The starter set was actually the first official product that was sold by Wizards of the Coast when 5th edition came out, even before the core rulebooks were released. The purpose of this box set was really simple. They wanted to introduce people to D&D. Period. Get them playing. And it did a great job then, and it still does. And there have been a lot of things that have been released since then. Not only did the core rulebooks like the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual come out right after that, but several other adventure books have been released and expansions to the rules have come out since then too. And if you've had some experience with previous editions of the game, I might have a different point of view about how to get started. But like I said, this video is for brand new D&D players or Dungeon Masters. Those people that want to get right into the game in the easiest way possible because they want to have fun. So inside this box is everything you need to get playing. It has a streamlined rulebook that provides you with all the rules that you need to run a basic adventure. And speaking of an adventure, it includes, and this is one of mine, the Lost Mine of Phandelver. And you can see that this is well used. It's probably one of the best published adventures that has ever been made, in my humble opinion, even throughout the editions. And it's because it's easy to use, it's the right size for beginners, and it includes all of the major pillars of D&D. Exploration, social interaction, and combat. It even includes some of the very iconic creatures and encounter types, although I'm going to keep that pretty spoiler free, so I'm not going to say too much about those right now. And you can't play D&D without those strange dice, so it includes a set of those too. And with this starter set, not only do you have everything you need to play the game, but you have everything you need to learn how to do it in a step-by-step manner. If you're taking on the role of Dungeon Master, the set teaches you how to do that. If you're going to be a player, you have pre-generated characters pretty much ready to go, but more on that later. So there you go, and if you don't want to wait to leave it up to chance with the giveaway, you can take advantage of Prime Day going on right now over on Amazon. Well, to be fair, it's Prime Day when I'm releasing this, but it may not be Prime Day when you're watching. Either way, I've got a link in the doobly-doo below, so you can pick up a new one. It's an affiliate link, so it helps out the channel, but it doesn't cost you anything else. Alright, I know some of you probably scrolled down and looked at the description when I mentioned that, and then you probably saw that there was a D&D Essentials Kit link, and maybe you were confused. Well, Wizards of the Coast put out another box set for beginners in 2019, and it's pretty great. In some ways, it's actually better than the starter set. Not only does it have streamlined rules and an adventure, but it has better dice, it has a DM screen, some condition cards, an easy way to track initiative, and even some brand new sidekicks, and it's really kind of good. There's even a map that you can use for your table. You can fold it out and it'll show you the location that is happening for the adventure. And instead of pre-generated characters, the Essential Kit includes all the rules that you need to create your own. At least streamlined rules to create your own. And all those additional items are really cool. Actually, character creation is arguably one of the best parts of D&D. But the problem is, all of that stuff adds to the complexity and may confuse things for a new player. To create characters, for example, you need to understand the character creation rules. So even if they're simplified, it makes it a little bit more difficult. And the Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure is good, but it's not as good as the one you get in the starter set. So why am I listing the link? Well, because the affiliate links help support the channel, to be fair, but also, if you can afford to do it, I would get both of them. Because the DM screen and the condition cards and the extra dice from the Essentials Kit are great accessories that you can use with the starter set too. And the map that they included works for the starter set adventure. The town of Phandalin is on one side of that map, and it plays a big part in the Lost Mine of Phandelver adventure. So for the price of the Essentials Kit, you're gaining more than you would if you tried to purchase all those things separately. And you can always play through the other adventure whenever you're comfortable with the game and you're ready to jump into creating characters of your own and then sort of going into an adventure that is a little less linear. So even though it's called an Essentials Kit, I think of it as extra stuff. You could totally just use the starter set. It's still the easiest way to learn D&D. At this point, I'm going to assume that you either purchased the starter set or are planning to, or you entered the giveaway and you were the winner. If you're the DM, all the information for running the game is included here in the box, except for one thing, Session 0. Session 0 is the chance to get to know the players and talk through table rules discuss hard and soft limits, and plan or create characters, and discuss the upcoming game. So let's break that down. If you already know the people you're playing with, the first part is pretty easy. But if there are any new people that are not really part of your social group and you've added them because they're friends of friends, take the time to get to know them a little bit during this session. Session 0 happens before the first gaming session. As for the rules, the starter set provides you with all the rules that you need to get going, but you can start discussing these things with the players. Even though they're streamlined, it's good to have them informed about what the basic rules are. But if anything comes up during the game, you're the DM. Make it up. Just let them know you'll be making rulings on the spot. This keeps things moving, and you can come back to any rules that you need to later and kind of revise things and figure out how to do it. When it comes to hard and soft limits, we're really talking about the topics or themes that may come up during discussion or roleplay throughout the game. With role-playing games, if you're new to it, players have more freedom to have their characters act in whatever way they want. One of the biggest benefits of Session 0 is to make sure that everybody is on the same page regarding the content and the themes that you would like to avoid, or others in the group would like to avoid. Since The Lost Mine of Phandelver is a pre-published adventure and it's rated for ages 12 and up, you're in a pretty good starting point from the content perspective. But like I said, since people at the table improvise what their characters say and do, it's a good idea to set limits on all of the topics or content areas that may come up during discussion. Each member of the group may have a different take on it, so you should air it out at the beginning. For example, if you're playing with kids, maybe you want to keep things pretty PG. But for adults, you could adjust accordingly depending on the people at the table. Just remember that even the role-play-based words and actions of make-believe characters may trigger some unintended emotional responses, so it's best to cover things as best you can before the game starts. And have everybody collaborate on this so that they can get the best out of the experience. Session 0 is also a great time to select characters because you've got 5 of them that you can choose from. In the starter set, you have 2 different human fighters, a dwarven cleric, a halfling rogue, and an elven wizard. Each of these characters come with their own unique background, personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. And that's one of the benefits, I think, for these pre-generated characters. If you remember what I said about the starter set coming out as the first thing that you could purchase for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, it was introducing people to some of the basic rules of the game. So while people now understand what all of these personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, and even the background mechanic is, back then, it was brand new. So having a pre-generated character with all of those things listed and filled out ahead of time was a really good way of doing it and making sure that the people that are starting the game understood how those things were going to be used. And by providing the text there, you can have the connection with the campaign ready to go. Speaking of the campaign, each one of those pre-generated characters also has a personal goal that's associated with the story. So there is something that that character wants to achieve as things play out in the game. During Session 0, you can talk through the characters to see which players want to play which characters. You could even have them roll the dice, though, to see who gets to pick first. In an attempt to help you make it even easier, I'll be launching a series of videos completely tied to learning D&D through the starter set. We'll have a video that DMs can send to their potential players to introduce D&D and give them a little bit of a background on what's expected of them as a player and what Session 0 is going to be about. But we're also going to release some videos that players can use to help expand on the character backgrounds and personalities of those pre-generated characters. I'm going to put a couple links in the description to videos that aren't mine, because there are some already established YouTube channels out there that have done a great job at breaking down how you can run The Lost Mine of Phandelver and modify it a little bit so it irons out any problems that have shown up over the years in the story. And I really think there are some good ones out there, so again, check the links in the doobly-doo below, because those will give you a really good chance of making the game go as smoothly as possible for everybody. Alrighty, so let's get to the giveaway. This is the physical copy of the D&D starter set, The Prize, and I bought it myself. So there are no sponsors for this video or the contest in general. YouTube has nothing to do with this contest, just me giving back to all the people that subscribe to the channel. It's also completely free to enter. All you need to do is be a subscriber of the channel and then comment #GeekyWisdom in the comments section of the video. You're only going to get one entry though, no matter how many comments you want to add, although add as many comments as you like. Even if you're going to start a conversation with people, I think it's a good way to do so, but it's only going to be one entry per person. The contest for this giveaway opens at the launch of this video, which should be 9 AM Eastern Standard Time on July 12th. And the winner will be chosen randomly via a YouTube comment picker application on July 31st, 2022. And the winner will be notified by me replying to that comment. But all of the additional information about the rules for the contest are in the description. So go ahead and subscribe and comment now so that you're in the running for the prize. Alright, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll consider starting your journey into D&D with the D&D starter set. And I'd like to leave you potential new Dungeon Masters with a little geek philosophy from Gary Gygax, the co-creator of D&D. The secret we should never let the Game Masters know is that they don't need any rules. Cheers.